It would be, yep, let me.
Hi, Andy, how are you doing? I'm all right for a
Yep,
guy
you're
my age, you know, best I can be.
I think we are ready.
Are we ready to rock and roll? We will call the meeting to order, a little bit delayed, 10:37. We need to confirm that we're legally posted.
Yes, we are.
I have a question.
Yeah.
On this first sheet for August 28th,
That's when I nailed it.
that doesn't affect anything.
Nope, that's just the cover letter. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the August 3rd meeting?
Sorry.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion, changes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, opposition, motion carries. Public comment on agenda items, is there anybody on Zoom? Hearing none, is there any public comment? We'll move on to agency reports. And that should be NRCS.
Sure. I don't really have any report, prepared or anything, nothing new really. We're just continuing to work on our contracts, getting everything obligated for 2023, the end of our fiscal year, end of this month. So lots to do, lots to wrap up, contract reviews and all that, payments. 2024 will bring more equip money and, more interest and lots going on for that this coming year. Keep working with, as far as the farm bill goes too, I mean, it should be a new farm bill sometime soon, so that might change things up with the programs, but I don't anticipate that's gonna happen before 2024, because it takes a while for it all to get figured out and trickle down to the agencies that actually impact us. So, I'll just keep you guys up to date when I know more about farming or any program changes.
Thank you. Any questions?
Well, a comment I'd like to make, and that is, it's really interesting how we were discussing the Spirit Fund on Tuesday evening, and the fluctuations that happen within the time frame that the requests had to be in, and when it actually happens. I thought that was really interesting, because that time changes how much money I might need, whether I need more money. And I just thought that was very interesting. Thank you.
Any other questions for NRCS? Are you also representing SSA or?
No, but if you had any questions about
That's good. Okay, the next thing is announcements. Chad? You have the floor.
Okay, the October meeting, I just want to make you all aware, I'll be bringing the budget for review. It will be, I think, tomorrow. I'll be reviewing it with the exec's office for the budget for the department, and so we have it on October agenda for review with all of you. Yesterday we found out that, as I mentioned earlier, Bex meets back out of processing year for the deer donation program. We reached back out to them, and Joey has some connections with Carol back White, and they offered to do it again. So we're getting back on board with the deer donation program, and that'll be up and running for this hunting season. We usually get around 20 deer donated back to local food pantries, so it's a nice program.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is there gonna be we talk about money on an annual basis
Yes.
for them? Is it a monetary thing for them?
Yeah, so what they'll get paid is $100 per deer for
But I
processing.
mean, why did they back out? Was it a monetary thing?
I
Are we giving them enough?
I don't know the exact details. I think they're so busy at Bex, they were just looking to scale back on certain things, was what I thought I heard. So I think it was just, they just had a lot of work, and they were looking at simplify it a little bit. So,
Well, if it's money thing, we will address that again, right? Coming up.
well, the rates for deer donation are set at $100 per deer. by the DNR rate. That's what they
Don't we
did,
set that?
Yeah, we
Some
used
point.
to,
the processing.
Yeah,
mm.
yeah, we.
Oh, I remember the rates,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I remember talking about it, and then I had mentioned it to them, and then they informed me that this is the rate they pay.
Because Chuck,
And if
Classic
we-
example of the state taking control. of the whole-
if we wanted to pay more, it's gonna have to come out of our budgets.
Oh,
but somehow we assisted or we set.
Yeah, we were part of that process.
Yes, we talked about it, because the rate was at a certain mark. I approached them and they told me the new rates were actually a little higher than what we thought for that year. But that's the rate that they will pay. They will not pay more.
When the DNR person comes in, like at your end here,
That would be APHIS. That'd be a USDA.
is that at that point when they'll talk about that? Will they talk about it again? Processing, not.
Yeah, because we have to sign the form to participate in the program in 2024.
Because I think that maybe at that point is when we've asked to
Yeah.
increase.
You can request it and they can
Right.
pass it on, but they did increase it. It was $80 and now we're up to $200 per year for this year. Yep. Which is probably around the going rate, around the $100 mark, but
Well,
I don't use.
Yeah, I think we're concerned with the process. But it should be one of the prerogatives of the and the future will.
Yeah, and one thing, they do get paid for some of their time, but there's also a public image thing too for VAX that we thought maybe we could do a news article with our department and VAX doing it for the good of the.
Yeah, congratulations, thank you.
That goes along. So,
Because if they quit doing it, it's gonna diminish that donation.
yes, we don't have any other processors. We looked all over the county and that's the only one.
Do you remember how many, was it 100 or something?
No, it's like 19.
Oh, really? I thought it was more.
No, it's usually 15 and 20 a year typically.
So you're looking at about 40 pounds a week, maybe, a year.
Yep.
800 pounds.
So on that note, anything else on your donation program?
We're just wondering, how do they determine which food pantry?
That's a very good question. I was just talking to Jody about that yesterday. I don't know how that was set up, which local food pantry gets it, but we're gonna find out how that's done. If it's VAX that chooses or if it's our department, we need to find that out, so.
How many food pantries are there in the county?
Well, there's,
Does each city have one?
Oh, I think there's more than each city.
Okay, so
Their
maybe you have
church
4,
is,
and then you got 2 villages, right?
I know I'm on Winnie County and Winchester.
Yeah.
All that.
Oh, Winchester also, so that's a town. Yeah. That's not really a lot of meat for that many.
No, it can't really spread it out to everybody, but yeah, I'm just, our Legion doing a big can of food drive for the local pantry there.
Yeah, good thing, should be supported. Especially these days.
So we want to find out that, and the discussion we wanted to have with VAX is, do you want to get more gear for this program? Because we haven't really done like a social media blast or put it out there to let people know.
Yeah, they maybe don't want
They maybe
more.
don't.
Yeah.
So,
That's why we're gonna talk to them first, kind of see what they're, so.
and like it or not, I think some of the stuff they get brought in is some
Shot
stuff
up pretty
that's
bad.
shot pretty bad or whatever, so you may not. It's like,
Some
holy
people
Christ, I
dress
put
them
3
up.
holes in that one, let's just donate that one, there ain't
Right,
much to save on it, so.
I've seen them come in through vans if they don't
Yeah.
dress them properly. It would just make more work for the process.
So on that note, the USDA Wildlife Services Specialist, I don't know if all of you recall Maddie, she would come in once or twice a year to set the crop prices, and do all that through committee.
Yeah,
She's no longer with them. She moved on to a different area, so our new person is gonna be Rebecca Brava. And she will be coming on hearing in October to be doing all that, set the prices and approve the claims and all that stuff that he does every year. The other thing that's also servicing is we have a 5-year MOU with USDA APHIS group, and that's gonna expire at the end of this year, so we need to bring that to committee and county board to review that. So that'll be happening this year. I wanted to let you all know that we have 3 CAPOs in our county. Thistle Dairy is one south of town here. They built a large, I think it was 5 million gallon manure storage slash feed storage pit. They did it without a permit.
Are they down in Black Wolf down there, south of farm?
Yep, so they were working with DNR, but they didn't secure the DNR permit. They did not get a permit from us. So we're gonna be charging them, after the fact fee, it'll be a $2,000 permit fee for that farm. And then we're also working with them because we need all the correct documentation from that. So we're working with DNR on this. So there's a lot of information they have to gather with what's been done, what's been constructed. We have a seep in the side of the pit that's gonna have to be pulled out and get it repacted and get it built right. This is the first time with that dairy where we've had some issues, so we're working through it. But at the end of the day, they can't put a drop of manure in it until they unless they have to issue that permit.
Have you discussed this with your owner?
We've been in talks. We've been in talks, they've been in the loop, it's a lot of corresponding with their engineer. They've been quiet.
Educated or?
We have,
Because I believe they have the option to appeal to the committee.
they can, but DNR is not gonna let them do anything either, because they're
Okay.
capable. So they're,
Just kind of trying to judge how it's responded.
right, so we're working with DNR on the standards and specs and how it needs to be built. And just making sure we're by voice and what we're asking for, that it's our standards, it's DNR standards. And then once they get the okay, so it's feed storage and then it's an emergency. Get for it as well.
Why would an engineer approve not only the design, but, you know, like, telling the owner, go ahead and start.
Good question.
Did he new to the?
No, they've been around, it's not the first time.
Oh.
So.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're working on that. Let's see.
Is $2,000 fine is the maximum fine or?
That's not a fine, we can cite them, but because they have not put manure in it yet, I'm not gonna cite them, but if they started putting manure in it, like right now, then I would turn to a citation at that point. So the $2,000 fee, we charge $1,000 for our permit fee based on the size of the pit. Because it was built after the fact, that fee doubles to $2,000. It's longer.
Standard, right?
Sometimes it's cheaper to pay the fine than to go through all the paperwork.
Yeah. I mean, we
Done
can-
that myself.
Now, where did you hear that?
Just a question. Did you have any awareness that they were doing that? I knew they were building another pit, or they were digging.
We were getting the designs coming through, and then all of a sudden, we heard through the grapevine they're actually building. We were just getting the actual designs to review, and they were building it at the same time, just.
Oh, okay, well, I just.
That must be huge. That must be a big pit.
Yeah, it's pretty large. So yeah, we'll see where that goes. They've been cooperative and managed a little more busy with us. Straightened out, just for your knowledge, we can cite every day if it is bad. It's $250 a day, if I recall, on the ordinance if we have to. We don't like going there. It's kind of the last case resort. So again, because the manure is not put in there yet, we don't have anybody to cite them at this point.
Is the 2,000 just for the colony? And then DNR has another fee that they'll have to pay?
Yeah, because it's a cable, so. And ours is structured based on the size of the pit.
Oh.
1,000 feet. I wanted to remind all of you about the LWCA meeting next Friday in Green Lake. The deadline to sign up for that is tomorrow. If you are interested in signing up, they have a tour in Green Lake. And that is just a short business meeting after. So I think you all have And then the last thing I had is we are slowly, the county did a full revamp of their website, the county website. And we are, as a department, we're trying to make it look a little more appealing, I guess, a little more updated. So we're slowly updating certain sections of our website, we're putting some nice video in there from the drones and just making it a little more user friendly with more pictures and more descriptions of what we do. So you'll see it slowly progress over the next 6 months when we get time. Jody has a lot of background in that within our department, so they're chipping away with it. It's free time and trying to improve. So, all I have for announcements.
Can I make a couple of statements? Again, at the Spirit Fund meeting that I attended, they were talking, one of the members was talking about being so pleased with having Land and Water receiving their monies. And that it's going to be one of the areas where you can actually see a long-term improvement on the quality of life in Winnebago County. And I was just, and he's just a member, he's not on the board or anything like that. And I was just really impressed with that. And with the potential revamping of committees, 2 of us on this committee are still going to have to come from the extension. So those were just my 2 little updates on that.
I actually yesterday was talking with the representative of Congressman Gallagher's office. They were asking about the Spirit Fund program. And we're impressed with it. And then Dad Camp representative from Madison was asking as well because they saw the agenda come out. So it sparked a few questions about what is that? What are you doing with it? Yeah, it's pretty great.
The other thing on there, just to put the back of everybody's mind, is what kind of came up was questions at the county board meeting about what's happening with all the interest from the money from the Spirit Fund. And while I'm not as concerned about the others, in our case, that 3 million is going to take 3, 4, 5, 6 years, hopefully, to disperse. We may want to, we didn't get a real straight answer on what's happening with the interest, but when you're talking interest on 3 million, you're giving us the 3 million, kind of think you really ought to be giving us the interest that's accumulating over those several years. That's a substantial amount of money. So
You bring up some good points. It's been addressed. The interest earned on the Spirit Fund, there's gonna be a breakdown from when it was ARPA funds and then transferred and that kind of thing. It's about 1.3 million. The county exec wanted to use that money for this position he wanted, remember that, to pay for the salary. That was in error. We have a resolution which I pointed out that clearly states the money needs to be added into the Spirit. So it should be dispersed as part of a program. In regard to the 3 million we got, that's gonna be in an account in the general fund. And we're simply gonna be drawing down from that account. So I wouldn't expect that to be interest bearing to our benefit. Good idea, certainly something that should be, but that's kind of how I take it. Do you have a different thought?
That is what I heard too.
Yeah,
That
that's
the
how I
dollar
would
amount
handle
is what it is, but again, long term, we're looking at 10 years, 15 at the most of this program, and you're right, at 3 million over 10 years, that's a lot.
Yeah.
seems to
That's
me,
a
if
lot of move.
put the 1 million in the general fund and throw that 2 million somewhere that we don't have to even look at for a couple of years. And I mean, 3 years ago, it didn't make a bit of difference. Now it makes a difference because interest is worth something.
Yeah.
So, that might be something that they might want to revisit where, you know, the others is going to be allocated. That 3 million is kind of ours to hopefully stretch out 5, 6, 7 years, unless I missed my guess. I thought somewhere
15
10 years.
Yeah, I have no more than 15 years in the plan, and I'm anticipating around that 10-year mark, but The reason it's a little bit longer is to make you all aware is the plan in my mind is to use this because it's local money. I can leverage a lot of other state and federal money at that match.
Yep.
So we set, if I do 15 years, we can bring in a lot of outside money, and I'm already looking at a $300,000 grant for a project.
It would be awful sad for 3 million to sit in the general fund with no interest and get withdrawn, but.
It might be a point to bring up, probably before the term ends, but let this get all
Oh, yeah,
settled
yeah,
and
no, I
established.
get
and
it,
then we'll
it's a
kinda-
lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
currently, right.
Well, and to me, what it says is you've got more stone to put out in the lake to help purify it
Mm.
if we get that interest.
And that's the project I'm referring to. It's a project that I'm estimating it's gonna be around 700,000, 600, 700,000. So if I do 40 or 50% with the spirit funds, then I'm gonna go for a grant to get the other 40, 50%. So that leverages it. It should be a slight bump to get the grant, so we can.
And also, if this is approved this month, then I assume we can, let all the landowners in the county know that it's a done deal and
Yeah.
funds are available, right?
So we will talk about an outreach approach. Obviously, you know, it's, you know, postcards or, I mean, we're gonna have brochures made up and start doing some outreach, social media.
Good. Anything else yet?
No, that's all.
Okay, under Chair's report, there's something I want to bring to your attention. You, county board members, received an email from Mary Ann.
Mhm.
Did you open that up and read the document? Are you on UW extension?
I am.
Okay.
Well,
Now,
and so is Doug.
I'm looking at, I remember I brought up the county board meeting, the definition under what the new P and F would be. As an example, how that can get mixed up. If you read this and you go down to the committee, they're describing in this document the responsibility of this committee, not UW extension. So that needs to be corrected. I'll give you an example. Develops and adopts standards and specifications for management practices to control erosion. Does UW extension do that? No, we do. There's a whole list of it. So this needs to be corrected on the board floor.
Okay,
I'll offer that correction, but hopefully you'll support that. And when you get a little time, read that. And then,
wait a minute, we're not supposed to be talking about this stuff.
well,
This
sure,
is a
yeah.
public meeting, no, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a public meeting, sure can, I can bring it up with the chair. And then under Land Conservation Committee, Chad and I have reviewed that, and I think that is correct. That you'll have to scrutinize as to whether what we're removing from that, the new natural resources, if that is approved, probably have to go under land conservation if it's not already there. Just an awareness thing. Other than that, I don't really have anything to report, other than I'm very pleased that we are about hopefully going to approve the Spirit Fund policy. So, if there's no other questions for myself?
Yeah, there sure is. Should this be brought up at the judiciary meeting on Monday?
They've already approved this document.
They've approved that document. Is that something that they would then go about amending at their meeting on Monday? So that it's
If
already.
they've approved the document, it's been published,
Okay,
they're not in a position to amend.
okay,
Only the board can amend it now,
okay.
in my opinion. So
Okay.
It might make
But you know
sense.
more about this than I do, for sure.
I'll let Mary Ann be aware of it also.
I was just gonna state it might make sense to make them aware. of it.
Yeah, certainly, if you happen to attend the meeting,
Yeah,
make them aware of it.
I am attending those meetings.
I think what happened is this was the original document where they had LCC included. And when the amended document that was brought forward by Supervisor Flom, and they approved that, they didn't make the corrections between the two. So now it becomes the responsibility of the board to do that. Well, but certainly make anybody aware of it that you feel it needs to be.
Yeah, I'm planning on being at that meeting.
Anything else? If not, we'll move into the meat of the meeting here. Review and approve the Land Water Conservation Department Spirit Fund Program Policy Plan and the associated resolution. Now, Chad has made a couple of minor changes. We're gonna go over that, and he'll explain that to you. And then hopefully, you're okay with that. If that is the case, then we'll accept the motion to approve.
So the two documents you had in your packet, the first one showing the acknowledgements, this was a suggestion by Chairman Barry, which I think was a really good suggestion, to put at the front of the policy plan, the department staff and committee that were a part of creating this policy plan. So that would just be inserted right at the beginning of the policy plan. So that's the first page. And then the second page, the summary and guidelines, if you turn to page 2, the one change I made, it's highlighted in red, is to add county program funds. And the reason I wanted to put county is, a good example is the break wall projects, the one I mentioned, that could be 600 to 700,000. For that landowner, if it's say 700,000, 800,000, we did a 90%, he's still on the hook for $80,000. So with break walls, I always try to get like local conservation clubs to chip in some money, or even go a little bit above that 90% because of the cost of these projects. This would still keep the 90% max on county funds, but then it would open the door if I were to get a federal grant, state grant, or local donations, that sort of thing. I never pay 100%, so it might be at 95% or something like that. But that way it doesn't limit us on water soil projects.
And the previous word was?
It was just program funds.
Okay.
So I just wanted to add the word county. in there.
So he's being more specific
Yeah.
to the word county.
So that would be our spirit funds and our county program that would go about 90%. So that we can look at potentially other funding for these expensive projects.
Well, that $80,000, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
Yeah,
And it's on a public lake that everybody uses, so it's,
who's got that kind of? Oh, maybe some.
And
No.
one that you're considering or looking at, is that in the Winnie County area by the?
yeah, North Breaks Road.
Yep, I know exactly where you're looking and talking, and I think my kid might have it. That's fine where you're considering, and I did mention to somebody that used to own that property that that was at least being talked about. He said, oh my God, we've been waiting for that for 40 years. It's the best thing that could ever happen to that piece of property in Marsh. And this is the guy that owned it and watched it just keep going away.
I estimated on that site that we've lost since 1941, about 35 acres of wetland washed away
Yep,
on that
yep.
site. So this break wall, we're at the very early stages of it. We'd be looking at the 40 store and stop the further erosion.
Yep.
With that being said, and I don't want to get too off track here, we do have a new water rights person that's been very challenging, to say the least, with our projects. I'm putting together a meeting for that specific site and inviting the DNR folks just to get their input for the early stages. And we wanted a hydrologic analysis, a sediment analysis. We wanted to show like the breakout, how it would affect the lake level and flooding on the Winnebago system, do a study. So I'm working.
Brandon,
Never had
a
to-
job, is it?
Yeah.
For whatever it's worth, if you ever need in that area to take anybody. I've got 10 pontoon boats that are never used during the week. They're only used on Saturdays and Sundays. You can load them up and out there in a heartbeat.
I appreciate that, because this individual's never been on the Winnebago system.
Oh my God.
So that would be nice to get them out there to see what they're about.
Take them
Go over in the spring so he knows what's going on.
Good good straight wind, 30 miles an hour.
There you go.
Everybody the bowl.
What college did you just graduate from?
Came from Texas, that's all.
You didn't come, right?
No,
Okay, procedure wise, this is actually amending the document. Without going into any depth, is there any concern about that word being inserted?
No.
Does anyone, I don't know if we need an amendment formally by motion. Are we okay with just changing that word or adding it?
If we were to go about meeting that amendment, I'm happy to bring it forward.
And I'd second it.
Okay, we'll do it that way as a matter of record.
Yep.
We have an amendment on bullet point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. To add the word county, I'll read, no combination of county program funds can exceed 90% cost share. That is proposed as an amendment. I have a motion to approve that amendment
Second.
and second.
who made the first?
Okay.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, there none, motion carries. Now back to the document itself, as I have said through the whole process. If somebody's got a concern about wording in this document, now is your last chance to address it.
I did,
Yes.
on this sheet here, the agenda item report. And I don't know if this dovetails, I forgot my piece there again, but down towards the bottom, because these funds will be used on legacy projects. Tell me what your legacy project thought is, because that sets a different thought sometimes of.
This came straight from the resolution that came from the exec's office originally. So his idea of legacy projects are exactly like break walls, conservation, they stay in 10 years for wetland restoration. A lot of the work we do is, I don't know if you call everything legacy, but I mean, the management changes with farming, maybe not so much, but if it sticks, it's ongoing. So everybody gets to reap those benefits.
Waterway, water course.
No, I don't disagree, it's the word that I didn't see not tied to this.
That came from the exec's office with the resolution when they initially approved the 3 million, that's how it was funded.
His intent is it needs to be long-term.
Oh, right, no, I understand, it just legacy is a specific connotation, and I'm not disagreeing, I just see it on here where I haven't seen that tied to anything before.
That's very
Good, any other concerns, Bruce, anybody else? Hearing none, then I'll accept the motion to approve the Land Water Conservation Department's program policy plan.
So moved, second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No opposition, motion carries unanimously.
I would like to say you all did an absolutely beautiful job. Thank you so much.
That's good.
Making it so somebody who is not a part of your language can understand
I
it.
gotta say, I couldn't work with a better director.
I do have a question on this implemented today.
Just real quickly, I couldn't do it with all of my staff, I just wanted to make that point.
Yeah.
Implementation of it, as we spoke, you were at $600,000 of the project, sort of on a given year. Now we're probably gonna escalate that and talk about extra personnel. Have we addressed that, or have you addressed that?
That's where we went more long-term to give myself 15 years.
Yep.
And I'm going to take it year by year to see how it goes, to see if we have the capacity. I will tell.
I just didn't know if there was short-term need that we need to talk about, or you.
Yes, and I appreciate that comment, Bruce. Right now I'm thinking no, I won't have to go there because of the time frame, and then some of the practices, the design part is where a lot of the time comes in. And selling, help and doing the field checks, and we're gonna try and spread that out, but the buffers, for example, that's not so bad. You get it in contract, you verify it's seated, And then I'm getting my staff set up on a monitoring schedule. So that isn't gonna be a huge time suck for those types of things, it's more that engineering.
Sure, it was just, I know that we questioned staff or amount of people needed to accommodate, one time I think set up 3 more people and.
Yeah.
But.
Ideally, yeah, I could always use more staff for sure, but I'm gonna see what we can do with existing.
Now, I want to follow the process correctly. On your agenda, we not only addressing the policy plan, but the resolution that goes with it. So has everyone had an opportunity to read that? This is the one we go for the county board.
Yeah.
You can, I'd always ask, this is the review by legal source, we don't have.
We'll have a motion to approve the resolution and forward that to the county board.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No opposition, motion carries. So the plan and the resolution are done. Thank you very much.
And this will go to county board on September 19th for final approval, and then we're good to go. We're working on the forms and getting all the behind the scenes stuff done, so we can start signing out.
That'll fly through.
Especially at this meeting, this is,
That'll be
they're
unanimous,
yes.
Will this booklet there in the operational agreement or be on your website? Or how do we find, how can I direct, I've had people ask me, I said, there's something coming.
Yeah, we're gonna do informational brochures. This is more internal for a policy, but we could put it out there. I mean, we're
I think it would be good to tie it to.
Yeah, it's a public document.
Then when people are looking, like I would look,
Sure.
let's go see what it is.
We're gonna create a separate section on our website all about this program, so that'd be a good place
I
to
think
put it.
that's absolutely.
And with that being said, we're gonna spiral the final document all up, and I don't wanna do copies unless you all want one. Would you all be interested in a final copy of this?
I think,
In fact, I think it would be nice, does everybody want one? If we take the time maybe to sign first. Wouldn't that be nice? Something for you.
And,
About
and
10 years.
just in case the majority of this is part of it, I'm happy to give you this and then just put in any of the additional. And then that way, at least you're saving on some paper.
Yeah, we could do that, because, there'd just be a few things we have to insert, and then we'll spiral it up and package it up for it, and then we'll do some for our department as well.
And so that'll go to Mary Ann tomorrow.
I'm going to put it in the county board folder today.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Sure.
Okay, we will now,
Julie was up there.
Julie?
Yes. Oh, I didn't have anything. I was just clapping.
We'll go to business item B now. Review and approve the memorandum of understanding between Winnebago County Land and Water and Conservation Department and Muddy Bottom Farm.
Okay, so to back up a little bit, why we have a meeting later today was to apply for the grant that's due in about a week at PNF today. So it looks like we find out approval sometime this fall. This would just be the agreement between us and Muddy Bottom Farmers to get that producer led up and running. And then as soon as we find out we got the grant, then this is a 1-year contract, and then as long as you all approve it, it would get signed by our executive. It would be good for a year to move forward with the group. So some of the things the group will be doing, the grant is for $5,000 to get this producer that group up and running. Again, it's 12 producers that are part of this group in a Huck 10, the Lake Boyden Huck 10 watershed. And they're looking to really promote soil health practices. So they're going to have field days, a winter educational event, and then they'll have some new promotional materials. I think they have a logo already for the Muddy Bottom Farmers. They're really, it's farmers talking to farmers to learn from each other. And then our department is behind the scenes as a collaborator, helping with some of the field days and the fiscal agents. So we go down to like 5,000 and we work with the ag.
Is the authority always through your office through this?
Not always. No, not
Are we
always.
giving them authority?
You can, we would not be then the fiscal agent, or if they become a nonprofit, that would be another angle. They could be the fiscal agent then.
Or doesn't that start to get into a problem with what, who's in the lead, who has authority?
Well, they have,
Are they always under the United States / county, that order?
they are their own entity, their own group. They're formed, they have a president, they have meetings, they have minutes. They're just getting funding through that, and we're identified in this MOU as a fiscal agent collaborator, as just a partner. But we're really kind of behind the scenes. Year two, it might change. We may step away, they have an accountant that's a farmer that may take over the fiscal end of it, but it's not that much admin on my part, for a little bit of money, we decided to just.
Is there any other ones like this that you know of in the state?
Oh, yeah, they're all
There.
over the place. Yep, this is the first one in our county, and this bleeds into some of the other counties and the farmers, but they are all over the state. It's a very popular program.
Will they, since if they have authority to just produce like water quality projection, are they on a mission? Is there at some point that they go against? I'm just looking what could go wrong.
Or yes, as far as,
Well, whatever our thoughts are, or they have to,
well, that, yeah, I mean, that's why we have this agreement. It states what the direction of it is. And they have deliverables they'll have to meet with that money, and it all falls under that mission and the purpose and scope. And if that were to change in the second year, if it's not fitting with the mission of our department, we wouldn't sign on to the department. But for the next year, we know they're looking to do the same thing.
so annually we can agree or disagree.
Yep, it's a 1-year agreement. And they have to apply every year for funds. So this is 1 year for 5,000. And if they want to get more money the next year from DACF, they'll have to apply again. There'll be another, and it keeps growing.
Will they report to you or us?
There's reporting with DACF that we work with them to report back to DACF. It's pretty straightforward. This is not complicated. That's some of the grants, but yes. Yep, and again, we're working pretty closely, but they're kind of the face of the group. Farmers are happy. They're very engaged.
In their operational agreement within themselves, I think I brought this up one time, if there's somebody disgruntled, they have that. They just take care of that.
Yeah, they can just walk away. I mean, it's voluntary, it's part of the group. I mean, they have the committee structure internally, what they have, but then they have other farmers that sign on just to be a part of it. Just trying to get more support. Yeah.
Information is always good.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And when you put
And it's
people
new, we
together.
haven't done it before, right? So I appreciate the questions, and I've heard nothing but good about producer like you, so it's nice to have a farmer that's willing to take it on. Part of it was the watershed where we started really doing outreach, one of the highest people watersheds in the county. And that's how we got engaged with this farmer, and then it started to snowball. That's great, it's good. So this will work kind of in tandem even with our Spirit Fund program. We have some of these farmers that want to sign up for some of the soil health initiatives, we'll work with them. If they have a waterway that's going, I mean, we can get a lot more work done back with the farmers.
It's exciting to hear that an individual can make something small.
Yep, and sometimes it's better coming out of the farmer's mouth than government.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Goes well for
Time.
Let's get it on the table. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Any further discussion? Second.
My only question would be just the nervousness of what that is, but other than that, I don't disagree with it. It's sort of the unknown, that's all.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimous.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
And this says, Martins and Risley has sent out cards for selling flat books.
Yes, you have private firms that will do that sometimes as well.
Is there at some point that we should let them know that we have excess of whatever that, you don't have to reduplicate or take it out of your hands?
We could, we've been ordering 25
Right.
at a time, so it's been really awesome how we did it this go around, because we don't have 300 flat books sitting in our storage room. So it's just been, we sold about 150, and we're just
Oh,
ordering.
you're
them.
okay then?
We are.
I just
yeah,
making you aware that Marks and Nice, they had a card like a week or two ago that
yeah.
flat books are available, so
And I know they charge usually a little bit more.
I don't even remember what it said.
Yeah, but we're looking potentially to do an update again in 2025. So that's the nice thing, doing less publication or less copies. We can just update it more frequently. So we get a big flush of people wanting that new flat book in the first and second year, and then it starts to die off because it's somewhat outdated. So it's a good way to keep it updated, but not have boxes and boxes. We can't even give it some away right now. It's taking up space, so. I'm just gonna get this up and running for the next agenda item. All right, Mr. Chair.
Next thing on the agenda is business item C, report on Stabenow and Clark Bay Corporation offshore breakwall projects.
Okay, I wanted to give you all just a quick update on two of the break walls that we recently did. We went out and did some aquatic plant monitoring. So we flew the drone and we threw out a rake to actually do sampling of the aquatic plants, and it was pretty stunning, the response that we had. And I'll send some pictures around. So it's the Stabenow site, which we talk about a lot in Winnebago, and then the Clarks Bay site. So we have aerial photos from our drone in 2022, and I'll show you up here too as well. And then from this summer, and it just shows the dramatic response of the plants. And then with that, Doug connected us with an individual that flies his drone and takes pretty awesome pictures. So he came over and dropped off a couple pictures, and I'll send these around. They're just awesome quality, and I think I will give one to the landowners. They would appreciate that. So what I'll do here, I'll just try to zoom in if I can.
If I may interrupt, Julie, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Chuck.
See that? What are you showing?
Yes, I can see the map.
Want to check?
He's screen sharing. Yeah, we got this.
I just have to figure out how you zoom without a mouse.
I cannot help you.
Can you go right on the screen? Good. Is it touch screen?
No.
Nope, mine's not.
The plus sign up above.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Let's see.
This is our first bit.
Chuck, as we're looking at these, is there any way that you can get copies of these for the ARPA funds so that they can actually see the good that's going on with this?
Oh, I think we probably could, sure.
I think that those people who are just the community members, and Beth might really appreciate seeing what's happening and where their money is going to, and the response to the potential of what that money is going to.
We can, and the county board at large, you think? Or-
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because this is phenomenal.
I'll get it to Julie, county clerk, and then you can run it through the process.
And for me, it's just the education that's so enormous.
Mhm.
Those are nice pictures.
So what I have on the screen, it kind of replicates what's in front of you, but this site was experiencing quite a bit of erosion. This was about 1.5 foot of recession a year on this site. And the slider here, so the photo that you see there is from summer of 2022. And this is our drone footage from August of this year. And it just shows the dramatic plant response that you have here. So pretty awesome to see, you know, what these break walls do. And we're building them out further than we used to. We used to go pretty tight to shore, and this one is about, I think it's about 650, 700 feet from the edge of the wetland. So you can see how that's all restored in the water. We did Secchi disc readings behind the break walls, and they're crystal clear water. Some nice diversity. It's just awesome habitat. It's holding that lake bottom in place. So many, many benefits. And the reason we have the openings is to provide water exchange. So where you have the smaller break wall there, you can see it's a little more open, which is okay to get a little bit of water exchange in there and water flow. So that's why we do it that way. And these are typically 2 feet above the water level to break up the ice and the wind and wave action. So this would be the staff.
This has been about a year of the staff.
This was put in 2021.
21.
Yeah, so that's 2 years, which is a lot faster than we've typically seen. But it's really neat to see some of the emergent plant beds expanding, the bulrushes. And there's just like I said, a diversity of good plants.
The secondary benefit of all that is the large chunks of ice can no longer come down Winnebago and wipe out everybody's pier because they get hung up trying to get through it. It forces that area to be narrower.
Yeah,
It also provides protection where that little horseshoe is down at the bottom. That's the county park down there. And that's the boat launch. So when the wind's out of the northwest, which it always is when you want to go fishing on Winnie County, you can actually get your boat launched in and out without having 4-foot rollers
yeah,
beating you up. And it's also kind of protecting that small little island right by the boat launch that was getting eroded all at the same time. So it's really, aside from your intent of saving.
I should take credit for that,
right? It's
Secondary.
created 2 or 3. Of course, there's at least one guy on Twin Harbor that wants to strangle you because now his boat gets weak on the prop and it's all your fault.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you're always gonna have a few minor.
there you go.
It's always been that way back here before the break.
It has,
What has it done for the habitat? Ducks, fish? You know?
yeah, well, I mean, the whole thing certainly has the weeds. I can only assume that you're going to have more bluegills and perch and everything in that area. I used to row my skiff at 12 years old out there to shoot ducks, so I'm well aware of that pile of weeds and so forth, and it has totally restored it way better than it was when I was 12 years old, and that was 60 years ago. So
I've received,
yeah.
I mean, this is only be a benefit. Period. I mean, it can't be anything other than that.
as far as what now? The,
Well, it's shore protection.
oh, it's,
Environmental protection.
you're hitting on
Animal protection.
all of it. So
fish,
fisheries,
everything.
DNR does shocking and monitoring on these sites.
Yeah.
And it's a dramatic response on populations of fish outside the break wall and inside the break wall. Obviously vegetation with water quality, it's cleaning up the water, it's holding that bottom in place. And then the wildlife habitat from waterfowl to amphibians, I mean, you name it, it kind of hits all the boxes on benefits in my opinion.
Do you ever run across like where I see a tax parcel number where that person may have owned out underneath there?
There's a lot of them like that.
And how do you deal with that?
That's the landowner we work with. It's the adjacent landowner, and sometimes they own the lake bottom. Like the one, and I'll show you here, this wasn't what I was gonna talk about, but this is the one that I'm gonna be.
Is this the one we're talking about,
That-
looking into?
This is the one I'm looking into, so I'm getting a little off track here, but
Okay.
this is the site, and it's very, very rough concept. I'm just doodling here with ideas.
Well,
But-
that one's already there.
No, this is a proposal. So this
Okay.
site has
This is
been,
the one we're talking about.
yeah, so that is what we're looking at, about 40 acres behind it. And if you
So
look
that
at,
line there simply demonstrates the proposed.
that's proposed. I've got different opening ideas. It's for my
You don't have
discussion.
no inlet and outlets like the other one.
Oh yeah, I can zoom in and show you. I don't have the parcels here, but that parcel is all on private property
Well,
technically.
that was my question. If you put that on, if a structure above, is that whose property is it?
The state technically owns the break wall. That's how it works.
Even though they
That's-
own the land underneath?
That's been my understanding of what I've been told with DNR. Yep, yep. Now, if your feet are wet, you can go back there, but if that fills in with vegetation and you can't have wet feet, then it's the landowner's property if it were to get to that point.
Mother Nature.
Everyone know where that is? You know where the fin and feather is?
There you go, there's the
Road
parcel.
right in front of the fin that goes
Okay.
parallel to the feather, just take it farther up, right? What's that, Lang's Tavern up there?
Langley's Landing.
Yeah, and it's just beyond that.
So you can,
So
see
actually, you're doing both sides of that where the lake narrows down.
right, yeah, these are two really bad sites that have lost wetlands, and here you can see the parcels that they're paying taxes on, and half of it's water. The one thin one, there's a landowner that just committed to the project last night. He reached out to me, and it's all underwater, that whole parcel. It's just interesting. It's when the dams weren't here, that used to be land. Water was 3 feet lower. So that's why the parcels show up like that. So again, this is very early on in these design stages, but that is close to what I'm going to pitch for
Is
this
the break
potential.
wall constructed so the height is it, so that water will not typically rise up above the rock?
Nope, the water levels are very controlled with the dams in Needham and Asha. So I know what the average summer water level is, and then I design 2 feet above that.
Oh, so it's most likely never gonna get above the break wall, the water.
Nope, nope, you know, at times if you have a big flood event, especially on Winnebago and Poygan, it pools up a little bit, the water, so you may get 18 inches of the break wall sticking out, maybe a foot, but it's always exposed from the time we've been doing it.
Hey Chad, how many landowners are involved with this? One or two?
This one would be, it's two separate landowners. So I'm working with one individual and then a dad and the two brothers on that small sliver. There's 3 of them involved on that site that I'm working with. Yeah,
And how much are you asking for funding from them? Which is what we covered previously.
yes. So if I can get up, I'll probably do a 95%. I'll go for an NRDA grant, which is from the PCB pollution. I will try to do maybe, I'm just thinking rough numbers here, 50% with NRDA, 45% with spirit funds, and then see if the Lake Poygan Sportsman's Club will kick in. They usually do like maybe $5,000. They would be on the hook for the landowner with the 280s here, probably around 25 to 30,000.
Say, yeah, 25, 31.
And then the other one, they have a budget of about $5,000. So it's where we put that break wall. It'll be able to do about 400 feet of break wall.
Well, then that gets back to my question before, if they're contributing to the funds, and if that is established on their property, even though it comes man-made. It almost seems like it's,
That's why I'm asking, that's why we made the change for that exact reason, because they're investing, they are protecting their shoreline. You have to remember
right,
that.
no, I understand.
But it is benefiting the public. I mean, that, you're right. He paid, I can tell you, he paid 25,000 for that 80 acres, and now he's gonna stick in more money in a break wall. So it was 80,000. It's at 90%, so that's where it's a
I
big
mean,
ask.
logically, why would you do that? Because there's no really personal benefit
Right.
to that.
It's a hard sell.
That land
It's
is
a hard
not
sell.
buildable, it's
Nope.
not developable, you can't even, don't have a road to it, so.
100%.
I
Some
mean,
of these landowners, they have a passion for,
It's
maybe
almost
duck
if
hunting.
we got permission from them.
oh, we totally do, because we
And
have,
they pay for everything.
right. We couldn't do
Because the
anything
small
without their permission.
contribution from the landowner is.
Yep, it's
asking a big,
it's a big ask, and we've done a lot of them on the system, but we've always tried to get a little more funding, especially now with the prices. It wouldn't have happened if we can't get, closer to that 95%. And it's still a lot of money, still is, but again, they see value in not having their wetland recede, and it's gonna enhance hunting, even though others can use it, but then it protects it from washing completely
Could
away.
you exclude that part of that property? Oh, let them donate that to the state, and they don't have any,
Some people have done that and get rid of the tax base, or, yeah,
taxes or nothing.
they're a few $100.
We had 54 acres up
Yeah, yeah, I don't know if the state would take it, or if you can you just dissolve a parcel? I honestly don't know.
there.
It's just
Yeah, the state didn't want it, the county didn't want it.
Okay, and you can't just eliminate a parcel if it's in the water, it's
Or
there.
you can sell it to the DNR for a buck.
They don't want it.
You know.
But on a case like this where you're doing an improvement, I wonder if they would acquire it.
I could see
That
that.
could take the burden off him or them for coming up with 25 grand.
Mhm.
Or
Yeah,
whatever that number may be. That's
Right.
all.
yep. Yeah, I know that there's a lot of DNR property adjacent to the lakes, and they haven't been willing to do any of these types of
But
projects.
this is totally relatively new in the last 10 years.
Yeah, break walls.
Yeah. from what-
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, the first one was 1998 was the first break wall we did on Poygan. That was the very first one. And it's really gaining more traction because we have more support in the last 5 years. So you're seeing more. of it, definitely.
That's one if you can, they eliminate their fee, because
Yeah.
it is the betterment of all that.
It is.
The state may not assume that for that purpose.
Yeah.
You gotta, I think I'd ask.
Yeah. Yeah, and some people don't, I mean, he wants to hold on to the land. Yeah, I don't think he necessarily wants to give it to the DNR, so.
But for 25 grand, you might, I'm just saying, I would look and I would ask
Yeah.
that question.
Yep, I can tell you the DNR wouldn't be paying for a break wall, because they don't do it on their existing state properties. We've approached some good sites and not on these smaller ones, the big Poygan break wall they're interested in, but,
To see the results after a year, Mother Nature sure does.
yeah, and that's not typically that fast. We do see a response within 5 years, but that was exceptionally quick on
That
these
was,
sites.
it's
Yeah.
phenomenal
Yep,
to see the difference.
it really is. And what's nice is DNR is on board for going further out, and it's a fine line. You don't want to go too far out where you create a fetch behind that break wall and the erosion continues. But we're gaining that much more habitat by going a little further out like this. And I'll show you the other site real quick here. So you can see the yellow lines, those are all the break walls we've done. The purple, this is the Poygan one. The purple is what's planned for. But I don't want to get too off track here. I'll zoom into this one.
About shoreline improvements that you know, sometimes it might be neat to see a slide of where they regret under these programs.
Like onshore riprap?
Yeah.
Yep, we have all that.
I think that thing was like right up on it.
Yeah, there's quite a bit we've done. So we're trying to get it more in the GIS system with all of our projects to kind of show, and it helps us focus on other areas too, do outreach as well. So we're really ramping up our tracking system in the department to try and show some. Okay. Oops. Went blue on me. I don't know what happened here.
Yeah, that's an excellent idea to let the board be aware of how legacy fits into this 3 minute club.
Absolutely, because they
More
already
so the
hit-
board than the spirit fund
And
commission.
absolutely, to have that education, to be able to visually see that, says, look, this is a good use of our tax dollars.
Okay, so this site here, initially, what DNR was gonna allow us to do was go from this point straight across to here. So we'd have this little bay, this was washing out pretty bad. And then we pitched a bigger idea, these are existing cane beds. So they okayed it to go further out. And Again, you've seen some of it already, but you can see that's from 2022 and you can see response.
Wow.
Yeah, you can see our boat trails on there. That's where we were doing the survey, so that's showing up on there. Pretty dramatic. It really tells a story. And there's these two projects, Stabeno and Clark's Bay. There was 3,800 feet eroding of shoreline, and none of that's eroding. And there's about, oh, what was this, 37 acres of open water that's now wetland habitat with these. So stops the further recession and then creates the wetlands behind it.
Those little legs on the right-hand side, of those piers.
These are what's interesting on the site. This is Clark's Bay Corporation. So there's all these cottages here that you see.
Yeah, yeah.
And then that's another break wall we did in 2003. I wish we would have went further out, but at the time they went permanent. So there's a bunch of cottages on the left here. They're on a 99-year lease with the corporation. They're all these little cottages. So I know, or at least I thought when the lease is up that they may look at not renewing it, is what I heard, but
We went out with both, those little cottages are all pretty darn well maintained.
They are.
There's several cars there. I think those people are enjoying it. That is a
nice spot.
small slice of heaven that they have on. Nobody's giving up that
Yeah.
lease anytime soon, I don't believe.
Yeah, it's really is nice back there. A lot of nice habitat.
Yep, it was.
So I just wanted to show, I mean, it again tells the story, and I was just really pleased to see our survey this year to see how nicely it responded. So break walls are definitely working, and these are openings. I think they're 400-foot segments on this one with openings to allow water exchange.
And they're also purifying the water, are they not?
The plants are behind it, so that's cleaning up the water. And yeah, the break wall, not necessarily, it just functions as a break to allow the plants to grow. And then the rocks themselves are habitat for fish as well. Just having that, just not monoculture of the same bottom, it creates nooks and crannies for fry to hide into.
So for 2024, do you have any proposed, that one by Winnebago is what you're?
That will be 2025. I made all my ducks in a row.
Okay.
Hopefully get permits from our new water regs person. If he says I need all these studies, I'm not gonna pursue it. I cannot, that'll be thousands for the
Oh,
landlord to
yeah,
do.
that's killer.
So I'm gonna have to look at other avenues and maybe talk above him.
Can you go over his head?
I'm probably going to, if it ends up being that. I'm already thinking about what to do on that. It's not just me, and this stuff's coming up. So I think there's be a unified voice out there to
So
talk about
he
it.
holds a temporary position?
know permanent.
Is there any projects then for 2024?
Yes, so for 2024, this winter, if we get ice, I'm going to Butamore here. This is the big Terrell's Island project, and you can see the opening here now.
Yeah,
We opened that up inside here. There were a lot of islands. There's still some remnants of islands, and there was cormorants, pelicans, awful water quality inside this break wall. And you can see there's no openings. This wasn't a project we did. This was the Army Corps. So there was no water exchange, and then you had the birds behind it that were causing problems. So what we did is we took out 1,400 feet here to create some more water flow in that big restoration area. And then what we did is the yellow that you see, we recycled that rock and built, so far, all the yellow that you see was part of a new break wall, smaller break wall, similar to what we do in our department. So they looked at what we do. We went a little closer to shore, and then we have the openings in there. And then this winter, we have to bring in new rock, and then the purple would be what has to get finished this winter. And that would be 112 acres behind this. And this was losing 8 to 9 feet a year of recession on the site. So a lot of loss on that site.
Will you be opening up anything on the west end of that break wall too, or not?
It's a good question. So what's been talked about They were gonna put culverts in their big culverts, and I don't think it's gonna be a drop in the bucket to get good water exchange, but DNR is leading that. One of the concerns is the Fox River coming in with the sediment that'll wash into the restoration area. But it's gonna be,
That's the
look,
box right where the arrow is then.
yeah,
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
right there.
Yep, yep.
So they're gonna give it a little bit of time to see what happens with that opening and assess it and then make a decision at a later date. So this is a carp gate right here. They used to try and keep the carp out and it was almost pointless. The carp were always getting in. It was more hassle than what it was even worth to try and keep the carp out, but that was the only opening in that whole area. And it's like 450 acres behind it. So
Yeah. It's not the best design.
no, no,
In other words, the feds are warning us,
yes, in the state.
you know,
Yep,
in a sense.
they are. Yeah, they look at our smaller projects and how we've done them and they've been highly successful. So they're trying to replicate some of that. So,
And it's interesting that you say that with our elder son James being a wildland firefighter. Apparently what the feds are now starting to do is have controlled burns in the undergrowth of the pines.
mhm,
And because of that, they aren't having as destructive of fires.
sure.
And the place that's the best example of that is the Grand Tetons and Jackson Hole. And Jackson Hole was absolutely opposed to doing any of this controlled burn.
Yeah.
They are so happy now, they beg for it to happen when it needs to happen,
Sure,
because they aren't having massive forest fires
Yeah.
there.
makes sense.
Northern California is a different kettle of fish.
Mhm. One other thing I just wanna point out, so we worked, I don't know how many years, and many of you are aware of the lake management plan for the Winnebago system, and DNR was heavily involved in getting that plan approved. And break walls are one of the biggest tools in there for the internal phosphorus and to work on cleaning the water. Yeah, so we worked with DNR, we have this plan, and we have these goals that have to be met in the plan. Now we have some funds to do something, and we have an individual within their agency that is essentially a roadblock, in my opinion, in achieving these goals. So I just want to throw that out there, and it's not just on the lakes, it's the uplands too. He's really being difficult. So we will see where it goes, but that's all I had. I just wanted to show you all, the response that we had with those two break walls.
How many, when this, goes to the clerk, how many break walls do we have established?
We have about 6 miles that we've done.
No, how many individual ones?
I would have to look. I'm guessing 20, 30.
We got maybe 6,
Oh, we have more than that.
more than that,
Oh, yeah.
and 1 pending.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the Sammers Bay one that right here, that one is
So it's
also,
probably, if we're showing them a picture of the break wall, then we can actually say, well, we've got 6 additional.
Mhm.
You said you've got like 20 additional ones, correct?
I'm just guessing. We have a whole, it's all cataloged. We can
Yeah.
give you exact numbers, acres restored, protected, all that good stuff.
We need a field trip.
Right, pontoon boats. It would be a nice trip.
We need a field trip.
Yeah, Stabinos would be cool. Yeah,
You
nice.
can't zoom a pontoon boat, though, Julie. You're gonna have to show up for the pontoon boat meeting.
I'd be there.
Okay, one thing I was gonna mention on that proposed one that you're looking at or thinking of, I believe you would have less problem with the current on that side in getting trucks and rock out there than you had on the east side is where the
Yeah.
current was a
That-
problem. I think on that west side, it would be less of a problem.
I was thinking the same thing, which would be really nice because that was very challenging to say the least. And
Where
then
are you gonna access off?
I
Well,
never
I
decide that. I
assume-
always leave it between the landowner and the contractor, but what I'm anticipating. And again, we're really in the early stages of this
If you're
one.
running up down by the fin, they're probably gonna want you to.
Nope,
No, you'd be out on,
be right here. The landowner owns this parcel right there.
yep,
So we'd come in, I'm thinking right there would probably be our best access to get to it.
But you gotta have a road to.
They go through the marsh.
They go through the marsh.
They'll make ice through the marsh, so they'll knock the cattails
Yeah.
down, they'll
Yeah.
spray water on top and hope there's no springs. That's gonna be the wild card in getting some of these done,
Yeah.
so,
Well done, Chad. Well done.
thank you.
Gonna make you feel good we're part of this? Of all the committees in the county, this is the one I really been proud of.
Well, you can see it happening.
Yeah.
So many other places, all you hear is the problem persists and expands. Here you don't hear the problems. They exist, but they tend not to expand because of the foresight. There's an awful lot that drugs aren't going away, are they?
No. Like I say, this is, in my opinion, always been the premier committee. Yeah. Just my opinion. Any other questions on the presentation?
Thank you
Thank you very
again.
much.
And it's huge for us to, as a county board, understand and get educated on this. Because who knew?
Maybe,
Pardon me?
maybe invite your
learning.
DNR, person to come to one of our meetings so that we can all meet him and ask him a few questions. I'd love to ask him why he's trying to stop all of the stuff we've been doing.
Time will tell, I believe, 2 weeks from now, so we'll see how that meeting goes, and I'm hoping everything goes smoothly.
Actually, we have the authority to formally request.
No, I'm just-
Not that they, you know, show up, but we should. do that. I've always given that instruction to Chad. that he
there
would
you go. Yeah, tapped isn't in my. So,
We will go to agenda item D. Review and approve the Winnebago County Water Quality Improvement Program cost share agreements, and we have 3 of those.
Yep, we have 3 for this month. We have a rain garden. I think I mentioned this to you on the project list. It's right across from the administration building. So it's a really nice site. There's a parking lot there, but we put in a rain garden, with like signage there. So that's $500. That would be for the cost share end of it. We have a grass waterway, which would be $2,500. I think that's 20% through the county program, and then a well ban.
I have a question on the grass waterway. It's 12,000. I assume that's probably what, 60 feet wide or something?
Probably 40 of this.
Yeah. That's the cost of an acre?
That's what we're estimating, $10 a foot is what waterways will come in.
Oh, that's pretty high.
So that would be 20% from the county, and then we do look into the state.
Oh, to help all.
Yeah.
What's the actual cost for the land?
Well, it'd be 10% when we actually do it.
Also, we're looking at 1,200 and change. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, there no opposition, the motion carries unanimously. Agenda item E, review the Land Water Conservation Department project list. And the 3 we just approved are on here, I assume.
No, these are, well, one we discussed, well, one is on here that you approved. I'll start from the top. That's a wetland restoration. Winnebago. Dennis Breaks is one of the landowners on a break wall project we discussed, potential break wall. Strip of land. And then the last one, Joe Teagan is all there.
Any comments or discussion on the project list? Julie? anything?
No, I have no comments. Thanks. It was a great meeting today.
I guess the next thing is a motion to adjourn.
Move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, Joey, for
Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend. Bye.